So I was browsing around my local thrift shop, and this thing got my attention. It was sitting on the testing table out in the corner of the building where there's some outlets and people can try out the electronics to see if they work. Well, someone had this plugged in, saw that it didn't power up at all, and then just walked away and left. But it got my attention because some of these combo units with the DVD player and VHS, they can fetch like $100 on eBay. But the more I started looking at this, the more interesting it got. First thing I did, I took a look at the back. It's got an HDMI out, which for a VCR unit, that seems kind of rare. I noticed it had a fan, good component and composite outputs, optical 2S video, so it's well equipped. But taking a closer look, this is a DVD burner, and then under this little flap here, it has an SD card slot and a USB port. So I think what this is made for is for converting like your old, maybe homemade VHS tapes onto more modern digital formats. So you can probably take a VHS, I suppose, and record directly to an SD card slot. I'm assuming that's what this is for. But you can also just make a DVD and burn it right to DVD, which is cool too. So I figured it didn't power on, but the price on it was only $5. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take a gamble. I'll pick it up for $5. I'll see if I can, fix it. Probably a power supply issue. So I brought it up to the counter, and the lady behind the register said, make sure you plug it in. Make sure it works before you buy it. I'm like, well, I did plug it in, and it doesn't work. And then she kind of looked at me and said, and you still want to buy it? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm going to take a chance on it. She said, well, in that case, since it doesn't work, I can sell it to you for 99 cents. So I'm like, hell yeah, my lucky day, I'll take it. So here we are. I'll plug it in. There it's plugged in, and we can see it's completely dead. There's a tape. It looks like it was halfway through an eject, maybe. It was starting to eject when it lost power. But she's completely dead, unresponsive. No lights, no display, no motors, no nothing. So let's crack this thing open, take a peek at the power supply. All right, so I pulled out all the screws for the lid. I also noticed it is a digital tuner, so I guess if I wanted, I could, record TV like we did back in the 80s where you set a timer and it records your shows for you on a tape. So that's kind of cool too. So it still will work today. All right, let's get this cover off here. Ooh, someone was watching the Titanic on VHS, of course. All right, well, there is the power supply area here. First glance, I don't see any popped caps. They're all flat on the top. Oh, wait a minute. That one right there. I'm not sure if I'm going to zoom in on that little guy right there. This one little cap here, that top looks, it's like it's bulged. Oh, it has gotten a little warm. Sorry about the view there. In this area here, the board is quite dark, so I'll look for some bad solder joints in that area. It looks like I'm gonna have to dig in a little bit further to get to the power supply. It's under the DVD drive, I think. Hiding under the DVD drive is another capacitor that has puked its brains out. Okay, I finally have the power supply board free. It was quite a chore getting this out because all of these parts overlapped the power supply. The DVD drive, the SD card slot business, and the HDMI board, the fan. It was all, oops, I just dropped a ribbon cable, which was also over the power supply. And even the front cover here was kind of overlapping things, so I had to unclip that a little bit. But finally, it's out. And for sure, I do see the two bad capacitors. This one here, and then this one here. And there are a couple of warm spots on the board, and I will make sure there isn't any chewed up joints under those. A lot of times the solder doesn't like those years and years of heat. So I gave the power supply board a bit of a look over under the microscope. I didn't see any failed joints. I didn't see any like hard failures. No shorted diodes. The only problems I see are those two caps. And annoyingly, the board isn't labeled as far as what the outputs are supposed to be, but I'm just kind of taking some wild guesses and assumptions of what I would expect to happen. But here in this section here, here's your 120 volt input. We have a section labeled hot here. So it looks like the AC comes in, makes its way through this rectifier, gets turned into high voltage DC. So this is a 250 volt cap. And then this semiconductor here seems to do the switching, the high frequency switching, goes through the transformer. And then here we can see it makes it out of bounds of the high voltage hot labeled diagram. So on this end, we probably have actually we probably have 12 volts because these are 16 volt capacitor banks. So this is a diode here. This component here is labeled D. So we got the high frequency AC turned into DC at probably 12 volts sitting here. I'm guessing this guy here is some sort of a voltage regulator. And this whole section here doesn't seem to have anything to do with the power supply. This is the RF box. The HDMI board plugs into here. And then if you kind of follow the traces, it's a lot of small stuff. So it looks like it's just passing signals along between, the signal components. So the power supply is just this section here. And then over here, there seems to be voltage regulator type circuits. So it probably turns it into 5 volts. Maybe there's one of these sections here is maybe 5 volts standby. So that, I guess that would make sense if this capacitor is completely failed. It wouldn't have standby, and maybe the other one's like a switch to 5 volts. I don't know. It doesn't say. I'm just assuming. But I checked these caps. They're not shorted. They're still open. They're just bad, but they're not shorted. And neither is this cap here. It's also not a dead short. I couldn't find any dead shorts, and the fuse is fine. So I didn't see any hard, obvious failures of a bad joint or a shorted diode. So I guess I'm just going to replace those two caps, and maybe I'll check it and see if we're getting power out of these sections, and maybe here we should get something too. Actually, these caps right here, I'll check these. We should be getting 12-ish, I suppose. All right, so let's do that. Okay, first cap I'm going to replace is C1120. Can you get that? Come on, focus camera. And it is a 25 volt, 100 microfarad, and the negative side is marked with a little dash mark here. I'm going to be using the Hacko FR300 desoldering pump. And the leads are free. Give a little tug. There we are. Okay, so that is the 2500, negative side there. Actually, the board is marked plus and negative also, so that's nice. Squish that down in there. Okay, the second problem cap is C1260, I think that says. Yeah, C1260, which is a 16 volt 470. And again, I'm paying attention to the dash mark, the polarity, negative side. Here the negative sides over here. Okay, done. Before I put the power supply back in, since it's kind of a pain in the ass to get in and out, I'm just going to make sure we have some standby voltages. I'm going to check that bank of capacitors. These ones right here, I'm expecting to see something here all the time. I don't think this is switched. Maybe it is switched. But there should be some sort of standby power somewhere on this thing. So I'm just going to start by here, and then maybe I'll check these extra little power supply output areas here too. There seems to be 2 independent sections, and they each have a fuse. So maybe I'll check the fuses for power. But again, since it's not getting the on signal, I might not get a whole lot going on. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in so that it's now live. All right. I'm just going to go across these caps. Huh, look at that, 12 volts. Nice, okay. Let's see if I can figure out the negative side here. That should be able to get a negative here. So here should be something maybe 12 volts again. Okay, that's with the little fuse there. Let's see what this little fuse is here. 12 volts also. I think there'd be 5 volts on this thing somewhere. Thinking about that a little bit more, and maybe those fuses that I checked are for fusing the incoming 12 volt power to the little regulator circuits. Because looking over here, there is some 10 volt caps in this area. So maybe I will get 5 volts across this. It does seem to be intertwined with this regulator here. So I'm just going to check that and see if there's 5 volts across that. Let's see. Oh, 5.9. Okay. It's a bit of an odd voltage, but I guess it's something. Let's see if I can take one more look without zapping myself. It is live. Don't do this at home. I'm just trying to see what voltage the other cap is. I think this is the one I replaced, which is is that 12 volts going in there? Come on. Huh, that's off. The cap I replaced has nothing across it right now. And this is the 10 volt cap, which has 6 volts. Okay. Let's just see what's going on. Let me find a good ground here. I'm going to see what's going on with this voltage regulator looking component. Nothing. 5.9. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, it might need an on signal for that circuit to come live. Okay, so I got the power board back in the chassis. I'm going to leave off the DVD drive, the HDMI card, and the SD card, and the fan, and all that for now. I just want to see if the display will light up, because before it was completely dead. So let's see if we get some sort of standby power or something. Oh yeah, look at that. There's a clock, or a display anyways. I don't freaking believe it. Something's happening. Was it really that easy that it was just 2 caps? Maybe. I'm not sure what that means, but it's something. Before it was nothing. Okay, I guess I can finish putting it together. So I have all the bits and pieces plugged back in, and I'm hoping that it'll do more than just show circles up on the display. So let's try it. Okay, well there's the circles again, but I don't know what that means. It's still dead. I guess I'll have to look a little deeper. Okay, as soon as I hit the stop record button, it spot out the VHS, and I heard some other buy. Why does it say buy? It's doing something. I guess it just had to like boot up. Okay, let's try this again. Maybe it is okay. Why isn't it turning back on? Wake up. Come on now. Turn back on. You were working. Maybe if I stop recording, it will start working again. Yeah, that worked. When I stopped recording, I saw the fan spin and the clock is flashing 12. I guess this thing just has a lot to think about. Let's see if it'll take a tape. Ooh, it's doing things. I'm gonna push, it said hello on the screen, that's cool. I'm gonna push play. Where's play? I think it's right here. Play. Come on, now it's just flashing hello on the screen. See that? Hello. Yes, hi, please play the tape. Oh, I gotta put it in VHS mode maybe. It's spinning up the head. Ooh, DVD drive is doing something. Oh, so is the screen saying channel 5. Huh, I guess it just takes a little while. Oh, there it goes. It just maybe has a slow processor or a lot to think about. But it's playing, yay. Okay, let me stop and eject. All right, it didn't eat it. Yay, I think we have a working VCR. Let's see if the tray will open. Oh, I didn't get a free disc. Hey man, this is looking good so far. I think it's time to hook it up to a TV. Here, I've just got it hooked up to the HDMI, which is kind of wild using HDMI and a VCR because they're like two different time frames of technology. But I don't want to play too much. I don't want Leonardo coming after me for copyright claims. So far, it's looking good. Picture's a little washed out, but I mean, we are talking about an old VHS tape that's probably 20 some odd years old. Nice. Here, I'm going to try to do some recording onto a DVD. It's formatting a disc for me. So I haven't figured out how to go from VHS to SD card or USB stick. That might only be a playback feature because there's a menu to play pictures and movies back, but not a way to go from VHS directly to an SD or USB. But it looks like I have figured out how to go from, oh, I had to program a remote because there's really not much you can do without a remote in this thing. But I think I figured out how to, oops, I got to point the remote at the thing. Go to DVD. So that's yeah, VHS to DVD. Press the record button. Okay, I'm just gonna follow some directions here. So there, I have just successfully copied a VHS cassette tape and burned it onto a DVD. Now, looking into this thing, unfortunately, I'm not able to record directly from any of these to the SD card or USB slot. But I can go either way. I can actually copy a DVD onto a VHS or copy a VHS onto a DVD. And what I'll do is at the end of this video, I will actually drop the file from this right into the YouTube video so you can see exactly how it records. And this unit also upscales both the VHS and the DVD to 1080p. Now you gotta remember, this isn't a Blu-ray drive, this is just a DVD drive, so it's only 480. But everything coming out of the HDMI port is 1080p. So that's pretty cool. And these circles scrolling across the display, when I first powered it up, I didn't know what it was, but I think that's just the please wait, I'm busy thinking icon. But I think I am done testing everything I can on this thing, and it seems to work as it should. And I'm very pleased that it's working and does what it's supposed to do for 99 cents. I'm pretty happy. Hey guys, don't you agree? Come on, 1080p out of a VHS? That's exciting. How can you just lay around with that news? Bunch of bums. They're probably not excited because they know it's just a 480p signal, you know, upscaled to 1080, so it's not actually 1080. Is that why you're so calm over this? Kitty? Hey.